pulled out my big toenail. His unimaginable ordeal, just one of the horror stories we hear from the 15 families living at this former school across the border in Lebanon. Among them, 10-year-old Sunduz, who wants to take us to the room where she lives with her mother and 2 siblings. Her father was killed during a demonstration. She misses him desperately. I remember he would take me fun places, she tells us. He would give us everything. As we talk, water drips slowly from the ceiling. We sit on threadbare mattresses. Warmth comes from a gas stove. Provisions are donated by various organizations. But the aid is stretched thin. There are thousands of Syrian refugees, most of them scattered through northern Lebanon. Some found shelter in schools like this, others with relatives. As winter approaches, one Lebanese NGO trying to help the refugees is warning of an impending crisis. Ahmed Muhammad is the head of the Al-Bashair Association for Social Welfare. He shows us the basic medical supplies and clinic they have set up. But he's critical of the Lebanese government, saying it hasn't done enough to help and is imploring the UN to do more as well. He says his organization spends around $70,000 a week, and it's not enough. In the courtyard of the school, Ahmed cooks meat, so fellow refugees can enjoy the holy Muslim holiday of Eid. His homeland is just in sight. Those hills right there, they are Syria. He spends hours just looking at them. All he wants to do is smell the air in his country once again. His 2-month-old baby was born a refugee. He's named after his uncle, Ali. Just one of thousands of Syrians killed in months of protests. Arwa Damon, CNN, Wadi Khalid, Lebanon.
A police unit in Spain that specializes in human trafficking works undercover in the fight against modern-day slavery. CNN went along with the officers as they raided Chinese brothels to see if the women working there were victims of sex slavery. Details of that story in this report.
This is a tricky operation for the Human Trafficking Unit of Spain's Mossos de Escuadra. The goal of this investigation is to find out if some of the many Chinese brothels they see advertised in newspapers are in fact sources of forced prostitution.
I
invite you to look at any paper in our territory, and in these pages you will find dozens of ads where Chinese women are advertised as prostitutes in flats where they show the address. The particular legal consumption of prostitution in our country allows them to advertise this activity, and there is no immediate police response. The police reaction will come when we do enough research to know that women are being held against their will and sexually exploited.
In this operation, undercover agents are checking out 2 apartments. They had trouble with the first when their efforts to pose as clients were thwarted by a man who wouldn't let them in. Since they didn't have a warrant, they moved on to the second suspected brothel, located behind that white door. Our crew is asked to stay in the car while the agent in charge talks us through what's happening.
As you see, simply from the outside, you cannot see anything that catches your eye. Just the door of a house. And therefore, the people who come here have prior knowledge that prostitution is practiced here.
This time, the agents do get in the door, posing first as clients, then once inside, announcing they're doing a police check. What they find confirms their suspicions. Signs that this was no ordinary apartment.
All rooms are equipped minimally to practice sexual services, prostitution, with the classic characteristics of a red light, bed, table, condoms, and toilet paper.
A woman who let the agents in, the only one there, says she's just watching the place, not a prostitute. But they don't believe her story. Before they can figure out if she's indeed a victim, they're called back to the first apartment. Some of the agents had stayed there as the others moved on to look for a man with an arrest warrant, thought to be connected to that flat. He was spotted and arrested, and he let them inside. This time, investigators say they found 3 women and further evidence of prostitution. Suspecting the women may be afraid to speak freely in the presence of the men in the apartment, the agents bring the women back to the station. They want to try to find out how they got to Spain. In other words, are they victims of sex slavery, trafficked across borders and forced into prostitution?
Doncs ara mateix trobem a un company de policia.
Now, fellow police are taking statements from one of the women located inside the building we last accessed. Our intention is to talk with her and find out her personal situation. How did you arrive in Spain? If you have a debt, how much did you have to pay to come here? How long have you been in the business of prostitution? Did you start here, in Spain, in Barcelona, or elsewhere?
One of the women admits she'd only just come from China 1 week ago. Since the investigators found her in an apartment that they say had signs of prostitution, her statement, they say, gives them further evidence that women are being brought here specifically for that reason. The next step will be proving the women are being coerced and figuring out if there is a larger group behind these brothels. If so, how wide does it stretch? For the CNN Freedom Project, I'm Martin Savage.
Well, it's now time for the weather report by the Central Focus Office.
The Gambia is endowed with a wonderful landscape full of baobab trees. Like its Cape Point in Bakau, it is one of the most exotic sceneries in the world. The baobab tree is a symbol of resilience, wisdom, and resourcefulness. For the baobab tree provides good food in times of hunger, rents its bark for medications, and its sap for glue. In the Gambia, there is a company like the baobab tree, 100% African and purely Gambian in all aspects. In know-how, design, value, capital, and management. That company is Elton. Elton, employing hundreds of Gambians and proudly associating itself with development in the Gambia. Elton, side by side with the Gambia.
Hello viewers, welcome to the weather forecast. First, we begin with a summary followed by the forecast. The day today was characterized mainly by warm and partly cloudy conditions over the entire country. And to know what prevailed over the rest of the continent, we take a look at the image captured at 16:30 hours, indicating the presence of spots of convective clouds over Gulf of Guinea states, dense over the central, east, and part of South Africa. Elsewhere remain dry and stable during the period. For the forecast tonight, we'll be expecting clear skies, dry and slightly cool over the coastal areas, becoming cooler over the inland areas. The day tomorrow, we'll be expecting warm and mainly sunny conditions to prevail over the entire country, whilst winds will continue to be northeasterlies in orientation, but generally light to moderate in speed. For the minimum temperatures, we'll be expecting 20 degrees Celsius over Banjul and Jundum, 19 over Karawan and Sibanor, 18 degrees Celsius over Jinoy, Kawur, Sapo, and Janjambure, whilst Basse and Fotota will record 17 degrees Celsius. For the maximum temperatures, we'll be expecting 33 degrees Celsius over Banjul and Jundum, 37 over Karawan, Sibanor, Jinoy, and Kawur as well, while Sapo and the rest of the country will be 38 degrees Celsius warm tomorrow afternoon. For those going to the sea, we'll be expecting a low tide of 0.37 meters at 3:13 a.m. and also 0.26 meters at 3:24 p.m. For the high tides, we'll be expecting 1.58 meters at 9:30 a.m. and also 1.68 meters at 9:56 p.m. The sun will rise at 07:03 and will set at 18:35. We now take a quick look at the international forecast. Thanks for watching and do have a pleasant evening.